way, these are the persecuting Roman emperors, and the Lord said in Revelation 2:10, "Do not fear any of those things which you're about to suffer. In fact, the devil is going to throw some of you into prison that you may be tested. Be faithful unto death. I'll give you the crown of life." Here's one. The Jews in Smyrna were violently opposed to Christ's church. They were blaspheming and persecuting the Christian. The event is not mere speculation. Here's the record of their pastor. Their pastor was Polycarp. By the way, Polycarp knew the Apostle Paul. And so their pastor actually knew Paul, had been discipled by John, and was still the pastor when this event took place. And it was during the time of the public games. The city was crowded. The crowds were excited. Suddenly a shout went up, "Away with the atheist," because he wouldn't put the incense on the flame. And they searched for him. They arrested him, but the police captain didn't want to see him die. And so they brought him up, and they told him that the penalty for not saying Caesar is Lord is he would be tied to a stake, they would pile wood around him and burn him to death. And he said, 86 years, I have served the Lord. I'm not going to stop serving him now. And so they piled the wood around him, they lit it, and Polycarp burned to death at the stake. And that's what Jesus is talking about. That happened after this letter, and he was an example. Now, you notice it says in Revelation 2:10, tribulation, you'll have 10 days of tribulation. It's interesting that there are not only was it 10 days, but 10 periods, and even 10 Roman emperors. It's very interesting. The more you study history, there were actually 10 Roman emperors that persecuted the church. The first one was Nero. Remember Nero? He was terrible. Domitian, he's the one that exiled the Apostle John to be on Patmos. Trajan, whose great pillars are still all over Rome. Marcus Aurelius, that's the gladiator, the movie Gladiator. That's Marcus Aurelius there. Septimus Severus, Maximinus, Decius, Valerian, Aurelian, and the last one was Diocletian. Now, he was the best as far as his efficiency. Diocletian, who reigned from 284 to 305, is the only Roman emperor that retired. Everybody else died. Diocletian was such a good Roman emperor that he quelled everything in the empire. He was an engineer. He built all aqueducts and cities. He built a city in what we would call Croatia today. It's right on the coast. It's visited, Dubrovnik. It's just beautiful. All the cruise boats go there. His palace is still there. It's one of the things the cruise boats look at. He retired from Rome and moved there after he persecuted the church. And over 10 years, this is what he did, 3 things. He destroyed every building the Christians met in the entire Roman Empire. There is not one standing church that the early church used that's still a structure. They were all knocked down, number one. Number 2, he incarcerated or killed, he either put in jail or killed every pastor of every church, every messenger, the angel of the church that Jesus was talking about. He found everyone. The Roman legions went out on a battle against the church under Diocletian, destroyed every building, destroyed or incarcerated every pastor, and finally destroyed every copy of the Bible that they could find. That's why, if you know anything about Greek New Testaments, there is not one complete manuscript that has Matthew all the way through Revelation in existence. There are pieces, in fact, 25,000 pieces. Why? Because when the early church saw the Roman legionnaires coming, they took their Bible and they went, "Here, you take that. You take Paul's epistle. You take Hebrews. You take this." And they didn't have the copy that they had in the church complete. They split it up because Diocletian came through every church, destroyed the building, took the pastor, and destroyed the Bible. He was the most effective persecutor the church there's ever been because there's no complete copy of the scriptures that isn't torn up. There is no building, and there were no pastors left. He did all that in 10 years. Unbelievable, and that's what they're talking about.